We used to know this feast day today as the feast day of the Three Kings. That is why so many years back, we usually greet each other, Happy Three Kings. But advancement in biblical research lead us to know that the three kings were not actually kings. They were magi. They were wise men. They were the intelligent person of the past. They are able to interpret the position of the stars, and their interpretation are always precise and certain. So today's celebration is not anymore the celebration of the three kings, because they were not kings. The celebration is the manifestation of the Lord, the Epiphany of the Lord, because Christ came not only for the Jews, He came for all people. So the wise men in our gospel today coming from the east, representing the other corner of the world. And Jesus came and He overcame darkness. He brought the light not only for one group of people, but for all people and for all generations to come. So we cannot claim that Jesus came for the people of Macau, or the people of China, or the people of the Philippines or Colombia. We say that people came for all of us, to unite us all. The mere gathering that we have is already a manifestation of that oneness and unity in Christ. So we're coming here from different countries. Some from England, some are locals here in Macau, some are from the Philippines. There are some of you coming from Latin America, or from China, even from Hong Kong, who dropped by to visit Macau. So the light of Christ, His light came to us. So He manifested for all of us. So from the celebration of Christ the King, we changed it to become the feast day or the solemnity of the manifestation of the Lord. And He manifested Himself to all people. Now, brothers and sisters, we have to go back to some biblical interpretation and some biblical advancement for us to understand very well our readings today. For example, why do we interpret the three wise men to be three? According to biblical scholars, they might be more than three. The number three came from the gifts that they offered, the frankincense, gold, and myrrh. What about the other gifts which might not have been mentioned in the gospel? And they were wise men. They are able to know what will happen in the rainy season, just like the wise men that we have in the Philippines and even in Macau, or even in some other countries. Their experience, reading the nature, and give them some piece of intelligence or being wise, that they were able when it will rain, when it will be sunny, when it will be the typhoons will be coming. Those are just interpretation of nature that comes in the cycle of nature, and they're able to do some interpretation. And for the past, these are the people who were considered wise, and their wisdom is coming not from any other source, but from interpreting nature, the wisdom that there is a gift for them from God. That is why in some communities in the past, they used to consult the elders, because they knew that the elders are wise. They're able to give you good counsel. They're able to interpret nature. They're able to interpret when it is a good time for planting, for harvesting, for marrying, and all those things. Now, brothers and sisters, let us focus on the journey of these wise men in the gospel today, who were witnesses of the manifestation of the Lord. We have to remember that in the past, When they have to travel, they really have to sacrifice and exert much effort. And we have to remember that when they travel during those times, where hazardous also and perilous, they have to undergo a very dangerous journey. There were no planes at the past, no Grab, Uber, or even a taxi that you have to move from one point to another. So travel then was literally very dangerous. They are exposed to some bad elements, robbers, or there might be some point of starvation, or maybe dehydration in the desert. And biblical scholars estimated that the Magi must have traveled for a month to find Jesus. Today, we are even complained to the airline if there will be some minutes that they're late, 30 minutes or 1 hour. But before, they don't complain when they have to travel for a month or even years just to find a destination. But the Magi were longing to see the child. They interpret the stars, and according to their interpretation, the great king has been born. And they have to see and pay homage to that king. And they were rewarded. This brings to mind the passage from the book of Jeremiah. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. And they do that. They suffered because they were longing to see the child who were born to be the Redeemer. And they find him. The encounter with the Christ child brought a profound change in the Magi, that they went home taking another road. And this is very beautiful for us to reflect when we realize that after finding the Magi, after finding Jesus in their lives, they take another road that indicated not only a geographical change, but also change, but also conversion. So in our struggle, in our trouble, in this world, we are pilgrims, we are travelers. We continue to journey together. And when we journey along the way, there comes a point that we're able to find Christ in our life. And in finding Christ, in finding God Himself, then we must not take the same road, but rather take that road given to us by God. And this is what precisely the wise men in our gospel today were able to discover. They find God, and they did not take any more the way that they have taken. They take another way, another road, and that is the road of conversion, the way of God. So this is a challenge for us, because every day we seek for God. And when we were able to find God, let us not go back anymore to the bad experiences that we have in our lives. Let us not go back anymore to the life of sin, to the life of immorality, to the life that insults God. But rather, when we discover the light, let us put that light into our hearts so that cheerfully we can go on with our journey, bringing God, taking another road. So brothers and sisters, God indeed manifested Himself to all of us. He brought us life and light and way. He is the way, the truth, and the light. And when He manifested Himself to all people, we seek Him. And in finding Him, we have to love Him. And in loving Him, we have to live a good life. And this is the reason why He manifested Himself. And we continue to also to be an instrument of His manifestation. That is why we have been doing our best, really not only to pray for China, to pray for Russia, to pray for the people in some other parts of the world, for the Christians who are persecuted. But we try really our best on how we are going to help them, so that as they continue to seek Christ, there are a couple of Christians there already, they may be able to find and live the light of Christ that is in their hearts. So indeed, Christ manifested Himself. Here in Macau, we are happy and we treasure the moment that we are very much free in exercising our religion as Catholics. That there are some parts of the world today that they have to hide for the confession, for the Mass, for all the other sacraments. For example, in China, also in other parts of the world where the Christians, the Christianity are the small has a small number of believers, and they are persecuted. They are not, in terms of persecution, they are hunted down, and they are being killed. Yet they continue not only to treasure, but to live the challenge of being Christians, because they knew that God manifested Himself to them, and they continue to treasure Him. As we continue our celebration today, let us thank the Lord for that moment of opportunity given to us, that when He manifested Himself, we treasure Him daily in our life, and also every Sunday. And let us pray that in His manifestation, we can also be instruments of His manifestation. Just like the three wise men in our gospel today, let us look to that time when we were able to fully find the light of Christ. And in finding Him, let us not go back to that bad life that we had been, but rather treasure Him in our lives and continue to go on with our journey, bringing Him, taking another road, another way, the way of God, the way of righteousness, and the way of doing His will.